The Dallas Mavericks are in a very interesting spot coming into the 2021 season. For one, they have Luka Doncic, who is currently on track to become the best player in the league within the next few seasons, and they have Kristaps Porzingis, who was a big part of their team before suffering yet another knee injury. So they have that going for them, and they also have a good supporting cast to go along with them. The thing to keep in mind with this Mavericks team is that they haven't even reached their ceiling yet, and it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what that ceiling is. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Well, for the upcoming season. We're going to be talking about what the Mavericks currently have going for them going into next season, what kind of expectations they might have, and if they can actually meet those expectations. But before we begin, if you're new here, I'm Double D. I'm a huge basketball fan and I make NBA videos here on YouTube. So if you're also an NBA fan, or just a basketball fan in general, feel free to hit the sub button and click the bell to be notified when I upload more videos just like this one. Also, according to YouTube analytics, around 85% of you guys that watch my videos are still not subscribed, so I would really appreciate that. Alright, let's get into the video.
I mean, they're missing their second best player, who, by the way, has been playing at MVP level in the bubble. Take an MVP caliber player off a team, and you do that, and I know the Clippers didn't have Patrick Beverley, and it's not even a knock. I know Doc after the game's talking about we're not there emotionally or mentally, physically, defense, offense. I get all that. But this can happen to anyone against this Mavs team. That's what I'm saying, Stephen A. The Mavs are live to go all the way right now.
So in my opinion, the 2020 NBA season was a massive success for the Dallas Mavericks considering the circumstances. They made the playoffs and faced a team that a lot of people thought had a realistic chance of winning the championship. Not only did they face them, they took them to 6 games without their second best player and with their best player being hobbled by injury. And a lot of people still think that the Mavs would have had a realistic chance of beating that Clippers team if they had Kristaps Porzingis, or if he didn't get ejected in Game 1. So that's what they did last season. This upcoming season, they're likely to have Kristaps Porzingis back and healthy. Luka is going to be 100%, and who knows what he's about to do next season, considering he averaged almost 30 points in his second season in the league. Along with that, they're also going to have most of their team intact coming into next season, assuming they don't make any major moves once free agency starts, which I don't think they will. But it is worth noting that they will be targeting several players for their mid-level exception next season. This is a list of all the possible players that they could be going after. But Avery Bradley is unlikely to leave the Lakers even if he opts out of his contract, but of course it's always a possibility. I think the key guy to look at here would be Paul Millsap, because everyone else here is either not going to be the best fit or they're just unlikely to leave their current markets. So guys like Jay Crowder and Goran Dragic, they're probably not going to leave Miami. But Paul Millsap, I believe, could be a realistic target for that mid-level exception. He could be a valuable piece to pair alongside Kristaps Porzingis in the front court. Exactly what positions they would be playing at, I still don't know. I'd assume that Kristaps is going to stay at the 4 and Paul Millsap would play the 5, but I do know that they would be a great pairing. For starters, Paul Millsap can bring more defense to the table and perhaps be their defensive anchor. Because if there's one area that the Mavericks could definitely improve on, it's defense. And on top of that, they'll also have another floor spacer at the center position. Because as of right now, Maxi Kleber is really their only reliable floor spacer at the 5. So that too could improve their offense and the way they play, especially bench scoring. Because under these circumstances, I would assume that Maxi Kleber would move to the bench and start playing at the 4 again, and they would have Boban at the 5, which, I mean, that would be really great for them. Last season, Paul Millsap averaged 11.6 points and 5.7 rebounds in 24 minutes per game, and he shot 48% from the field and 43.5% from 3 on 2.5 attempts per game. So I feel like that would be a great target for them, assuming he doesn't re-sign with Denver. Now, Dallas's offense is something that I believe is fine as it is. I mean, their offense was the #1 offense in the league last season, as they averaged 117 points a game and had an offensive rating of 116.7, which led the NBA. But I wanted to talk about the series against the Clippers again, because the Clippers were thought to be one of the teams heavily favored to win the championship, and a lot of that was due to their roster, but a lot of that was also due to their defense. The Mavericks, for the most part, had little to no issue actually scoring against that Clippers team, as their offensive numbers only went down by a small amount, and even then you could probably attribute that to the Mavericks missing their second best player in Kristaps Porzingis. Their 116.7 offensive rating went down to 113, and their 117 points a game actually stayed the same. 117 points a game. And so if that's one of the best defensive teams in the NBA and probably the best perimeter defense in the NBA, what does that tell you about what they're actually doing on offense? Now, I will say that Luka's usage rating really might be the only thing limiting them at the moment. They still have an amazing offense with him having that super high usage rating, but it still could be even better if he was able to lower it. Because as of right now, he's really the only playmaker and ball handler the Mavericks have. So from that perspective, it's easy to see exactly why his usage rating is that high. But if the Mavs were to potentially go after another playmaker in free agency, that's another thing that could help them out on that end even more. So I think that brings us to the question, what should we expect out of this Mavericks team coming into next season? Well, to be honest, I'm not too sure. Because you also have to keep in mind that the Western Conference next season is going to be insane no matter what happens between now and the start of the season. Like, playoff spots actually might be 49 or 50 wins in a 72 game season. Not 50 wins in an 82 game season, a 72 game season. Like, that's how tough the West is expected to be. So I'm not too sure about having specific playoff expectations, such as, oh, I can see them making the second round, or, predictions like that. But I can see them having a chance at competing against some of the top teams in the West next season. So Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Golden State if they are in that spot. Like, I can see this team causing problems or even beating any one of those teams. I don't necessarily have championship expectations for them yet, because I want to see how they perform in the playoffs this season, because, they're still a pretty young team, and they're being led by a guy who's 21 years old. But that's the scariest part. We're talking about them like this when they're being led by a 21-year-old. That is terrifying to think about. Like, he's nowhere near, he's probably 6 or 7 years away from his peak. And so, when you think about it like that, I don't even know what to say about that. Basketball gods, please keep him healthy. We at least have to see what his peak is gonna look like. So yeah, I think that this team could have championship expectations within the next 1 to 2 seasons if they play it out right. Because to me, they just need a couple more defensive players and they'll be set. Because if they can take one of the best teams in the league to 6 games without their second best player, you can probably expect them to justify the high expectations that people are going to have for them very soon. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.